Yay. Good morning, good afternoon, or likely good afternoon or good evening to you. My name is Doug Brunke. I am the founder and CEO of Global Chamber. It is the middle of the day of Friday and the end of the week. I hope your week has gone well. My sense of what's going on in the world is that things are moving at a very rapid pace. We're all very busy. It's been an amazing year, and I think that's what hit me this week is that this year has gone by so quickly. We've accomplished so much. Certainly, the members that I speak with, the ability to accomplish things is greater than it's ever been, and everybody's busier than they've ever been. My wife and I started to watch one of those things on Netflix, right? That's been around apparently like for 10 plus years, and we never heard of it. It's a show called Younger, about a woman who pretends to be younger than she really is. And there's one of those episodes talks about they were singing the song 9 to 5, the Dolly Parton song. Probably Mike Patterson sings it during his mariachi days. If you don't, you do. And they were laughing that isn't it funny that people used to work only 9 to 5? And that one kind of hit home, right? It's like, oh my God, I remember those days back in the day when that was the case. And boy, it doesn't feel like that way. At least for me. I don't know about you guys, but for me, it doesn't feel that way. We're all doing
Working 9 to 5. That's no way to make a living. Come on, Doug.
yeah. What do you think about that as a mariachi song? Is that possible?
Not really.
No, it is possible. Anything can be turned into a mariachi song, I think.
All right.
We'll see if anybody can do it, Mike can do it for sure.
All right.
So I'm going to turn the floor over to Eduardo Gonzalez, who's our Global Chamber Phoenix Advisory Board Chair. Eduardo, you were, and just like Mike, I think for most of the USMCA meeting, I've been sick for 5 weeks, and I just said to myself, I'm just going to recover this week, and I feel a lot better the last couple days. Last night was one of the best sleeps I've had in about a month, so I'm feeling like that was probably the right decision. And it looked like it was a really amazing event. Could
Oh,
you walk us through what happened and the significance of that and what we should take away from that conversation? And the only thing I'll say in preface to that, I had Carol Colombo had reached out to me prior to the event. I don't know if she's here or not. Is she here? Let's see.
I don't think so. No.
Okay. So Carol Colombo is the chair of the Arizona District Export Council.
She's now recuperating like you did.
Right.
Oh, really? Is she sick?
No,
No.
from this. I mean, she's been going 24 hours a day for weeks till the conference. So
She and I talked maybe a week or two ago, and that's the feeling I got from her because there was so much involved, 250 people, and it's just a big, big event. And there were some things that we did, like the matchmaking. We actually had the matchmaking done by Globy. So she sent over a sheet, and we were able to fairly quickly just match up the various people. And so I'm curious to see how that went. But it was clear that she was really quite busy.
yeah.
But I just decided, I needed to recover. So Eduardo, could maybe you and Mike and anybody else that was there, let us know more. Oh, the thing I was going to mention in addition was Carol. The other thing Carol asked me to do was, she said, I think I want you to reach out to the Canadians because apparently the Canadian government was not going to proactively invite Canadian companies because of the rift between the US and Canada. So she wanted Global Chamber to reach out to Canadian companies. And so she said, I don't know whether we want to do that, but I'll let you know in a few days. And so in a few days, she said, well, no, it's okay. We have more than enough people coming. But I thought, Eduardo, it was interesting that the Canadian government took that approach. What was your sense of what you learned at the at the conference, and what are some of the things you learned, and what should we take away?
Thank you, Doug. So we had the fourth USMCA Small Business Dialogue event. It was the past 2 days, well, Tuesday and Wednesday, the 18th and 19th. The previous dialogues were in Mexico, and I believe one was in El Paso. And the idea is to gather the sentiment and opinions of small and medium-sized companies on all three countries regarding the renegotiation of the trade agreement between Canada, US, and Mexico. Part of that was a B2B meeting. There were probably close to 100 Mexican companies. I mean, there were a lot uh, that were matched with US companies and Canadian companies. Of course, Canadian companies, there weren't that many, but there were a few. Uh, Carol from St. Clair was there, of course. She's a Canadian company with operations in all three countries. And so the first day we got the welcome from GPEC, from Kristen Mackey, and other presenters about what's going on here in Arizona, Arizona Commerce Authority,
The
and
governor,
the governor
yeah,
on the second day, of course. Yeah, the governor was there yesterday, and well, on Wednesday, sorry. So there were two full days events. It was the second day was all panels talking about different industry, different sectors. What are the pain points? And I think I put a post on LinkedIn on my notes, and basically what small and medium-sized companies need is something in place that will let them have manage any other risks other than uncertainty, because it's difficult to manage uncertainty. So they really need to know what the rules are going to be alongside tariffs. And it will be great if they can start discussions on also how to support small and medium-sized companies, how to get them to be part of the supply chain of big companies. So, for example, on the first day, we got the Honeywell, Avnet, a couple of mining companies, Virgin Galactic was there. So the idea was, hey guys, what does small and medium-sized company need to sell to you guys? So we had a couple of breakout rooms, mining, electronic and advanced manufacturing, aerospace, and I'm missing one. What was the other one, Mike? Do you remember?
well, they had water. Oh, you talking about
Water,
the panels
energy.
or the B2B?
No, the panels, when we did the breakout rooms before.
Yeah, sports and entertainment was one. They basically covered heavy the World Cup that's about to happen here in
Right.
all three countries, uh, and uh, uh, and then did that answer your
Yeah.
question? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, so the main concerns of small and medium-sized companies was, of course, finance, cybersecurity, support to education, or to gather the technology know-how for doing business right now. And of course, having that certainty on the free trade agreement signed. A lot of interesting companies from all three countries, and they're going to gather this feedback, and hopefully we'll give it to the negotiating teams and have their voice heard. So I think it was a great event, and all of this was during the shutdown. So everything landed on the District Export Council, which Doug, Mike, and myself are members. And so it was a huge success. I think we had a great turnout. People that I talked to mentioned that everybody was open and happy to help. So that was a very refreshing comments coming from them. They love Arizona. Mike was doing a lot of connections. I was meeting a lot of people and trying to help everybody. So a lot of companies are thinking of opening offices here or just looking into the Arizona market also because that also helps. It puts Arizona on the map. Although the conversation was national or international, the of course the having them here in Arizona was a great opportunity for them to see what's
That
going on here. Go ahead,
Eduardo,
Mike.
can I add? I just sent to you and Doug. I don't have the right to share screen. Maybe you can, Doug. But the president's office this morning issued a press release, or maybe yesterday's date, but basically talking about the big shindig they had in Arizona, and that they even mentioned the B2B and as a component. And this is significant because, um, Doug, as you know, we're all asking ourselves on the side in quiet voices, are we wasting our time doing all these lead ups to see if we can get the USMCA renewed when it may come down to one guy's choice on whether we do or not? But his administration, the U.S. Trade Representative, issued a a big noise here with this press release saying, we're headed toward renewal, and all these companies were in favor of renewal of the USMCA, and here's how much trillions in trade there is between the company. So I sent that to you. I don't know. I just want to encourage both of you, Doug, since you gave energy to setting up the B2B matching, that they actually mentioned it in the press release. Carol highlighted that in yellow for you.
Fantastic. That's great.
Yeah.
That got sent by email?
I just sent that to you and Eduardo by email with the presidential seal on it. There it is.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Thank you, Mike. You want to go over it, Mike?
Not so much, except it talks about, the second in command from Washington was there under the USTR. The second in command, basically, Daniel Watson, was there. And although they mention our governor, whatever, he talks about, basically, we're running forward with this to get it renewed. And we went out to get SME dialogue on it, and we had in Phoenix, we had, Vice Ministry, Foreign Trade. Basically, Mexico sent not only 100 companies, as Eduardo mentioned, but they sent, on the second day, they sent their whole delegation up there, right, Eduardo? There were high-ranking officials from Mexico City, from the trade delegation, who will be responsible for the negotiation of it. And there was a guy that was on my panel, Randall, and they said he will be leading the negotiation, and all comments that we sent in. They got, I don't know, he said they got hundreds of comments in the federal government, and we sent a lot. I sent one personally. We signed on to letters. I think you signed on, Doug, and to a letter that Carol wrote, and all those letters they actually count the number that they've sent. I'm rooting for this. I hope it gets passed.
Yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer. So hopefully that works out. And if
Yep.
not, you remember the papers, please, Bill. When bad stuff happens, good people step forward and it gets fixed. So let's see what happens.
We hope so. Thank you.
Thanks for all your leadership. Anybody have any comments? Or anybody else was there? Does anybody have any thoughts about USMCA or trade related to what we're talking about here? We started this one because Arizona is a border state. Those of us that are living in Arizona and Phoenix feel Mexico very close to us, and we also feel Canada because, boy, they drive slow in the fast lane, those snowbirds from Canada. And there's a lot of them, particularly in the wintertime, and they kind of dissipate a little bit in the summer, but the winter months we get a lot of Canadians. So we feel it on both sides, and we know the trade is good, and we want to just keep seeing progress. Fernando, you're in Texas, and you see it as well, right? You're let's see, you're where are you? Are you in Dallas?
I'm in Austin,
In Austin.
which is in the I-35 corridor, which I mean, I-35 in Mexico, I don't know what they call the extension of I-35, but it goes all the way down, through Monterrey and all of those cities. And then going all the way north, it gets all the way up to I think Minneapolis, St. Paul, and then up to Canada. And it's a huge trade corridor between the three countries that are involved in the USMCA. I mean, I-35. And by the way, it's a terrible highway to go on because it's just full of trucks importing and exporting stuff all the way up and down between the three countries. But yeah, I'd like to hear more about everybody else's experience with that. I mean, Texas is absolutely affected. We have a local company here in Austin, Tech Ranch, run by a friend of mine, Kevin Coyne, that has been actively involved in. He's been actively involved in cross-border connections. Connecting U.S. and Mexico companies, and now with some of the issues related to trade with Canada and Mexico and the tariffs. What he's doing is he's actually trying to triangulate stuff to kind of avoid that sort of direct trade. So he's saying, okay, we're based in Texas, but let's do things to connect Slovenia and Hungary to Mexico, and let's do things to connect Canada to Mexico, and really kind of trying to find new pathways to trade while being an entity based in Texas. And that's kind of my viewpoint from this whole situation.
Interesting. Very, very good. Could I, while we go around the room, could I ask, probably that could be Cesar, who's co-host, or Mila, host. Could you set up Doug and Global Chamber Phoenix as a co-host as well? Kassoum Kulabali is here, and sorry to surprise you, Kassoum. You've landed in Arizona recently, but you are an expert on cross-border trade, except that cross-border trade happens to be the Sahel region and Mali, so in Western Africa, and you know the importance and the challenges with cross-border trade. Have you started to kind of get into the flow of what it's like to be in Arizona and the proximity to Mexico, or are you pretty much focused in on, the transition to moving into Arizona and also school? Kassoum Kulabali is our executive director in Mali, and he surprised the heck out of me by telling me he was in Phoenix. And I like, oh, he's visiting Phoenix. No, he's not visiting. He's going to Thunderbird and getting his master's degree. How are you adjusting to the different kind of environment? Because I think this is your first time to live in the United States, isn't it? Oh, you're on mute. There you go. Oh, you're still on mute. There you go.
Okay. Oh, can you hear me now?
S'il vous plaît.
Merci. Thank you so much, Doug, for this opportunity again to join this conversation with Global Chamber Phoenix. This is not my first time in US. I came in US three years ago. My first time, I just make a stop in New York and go to Mexico for a meeting. So I've been back on September in New York, and I come back again in 2023, 2024. This is my fifth or sixth time in US. Okay.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yes, but my first time in Phoenix and Arizona.
Yeah. Are you feeling Mexico? Do you feel Mexico or the proximity of Mexico, or is it still too early for that?
It's too early for me because I tried to join that dialogue meeting, but they said that it's already closed because people has been invited before, but not a problem. I will get the insight from my colleagues, Fernandez. It's important for me to know more about Mexico and Canada about this negotiation and promoting export between the three countries. But in the side of Africa, I can say there is few companies from Mexico going to Africa, as I know. But most of the international companies working in the Sahel region are Canadian companies, and especially in the mining sector. And one of the biggest company called now, it was Run before, now is Barrick. Barrick is one of the biggest gold company in the world. And Barrick is operating one of the biggest gold mine in Mali right now. But there is a dispute between Barrick and the government of Mali because 2 years ago, the government changed the mining law, and they want to increase the part of the government from 10% to 35%. And this is a dispute and now with Barrick and the government of Mali. But the mining is, the gold mining is a big sector in Mali. We have now 14 industrial gold mines operating in only Mali. And when we take the production of gold in Sahel region, Burkina Faso, Mali, plus Niger, it's about 170 tons of gold produced every year. So this is one of the key sector where international companies from North America, especially US and Canada, are now operating in the region, but not Mexico now. But it will be very important to know what Mexico has on the table and to see how we can also contribute to make this cross-border trade between Mexico and Africa.
While we have you, is there anything that you'd like to update us on Africa? Anything that we should be thinking about? I mean, there's so much going on. There's so much growth. Your expertise is not just Africa, but the French-speaking Africa. What would you like to share regarding that aspect of opportunity?
Yes, the key point now in Africa is that you should know that 4 years ago, the African Union, when I say African Union, is the umbrella organization coordinating the 54 African countries. And when I say the 54 African countries, we have about 25 countries in Africa which can speak French. Most of them speak English, some of them speak Spanish, I think 2 countries, and some of them speak Portuguese and Arabic from the northern part of Africa. And we have the African Free Continental Trade Agreement that is in place now, and 46 countries now already signed and ratify this trade agreement. So now we are going to have Africa as one market, about 1 billion and 400 million population. So this is a very, very big market. And I can see one of the primary sector where I think that Northern America countries from US, Mexico, and Canada can be interested is the agriculture and food system sector. You know, every year Africa import at least 100 billion US dollar in food. And we have 60% in Africa, 60% of the arable land in Africa. And we have the youngest population, that's about 1 billion people around the continent. That's 300 million every year are coming in the workforce environment. So to say that we have an opportunity for also energy, and the mixed energy from hydro to solar and also for wind are quite important now in Africa. And most of the countries are shifting now from hydroelectricity to solar electricity. So this energy sector is one of also priority we can have. In terms of logistics and port management on transportation is something very important, because having a 54 countries where there are still have some barriers between the countries, we need to have roads, we need to have ports, we need to have bridge, we need to have all many infrastructure that can be built also inside the continent to make ease the trade, internal trade, but also the transnational trade. But to highlight one point is now the position of Morocco inside this gateway, that where Canada, US, and Mexico countries can have a good opportunity. Morocco is now building one of the biggest ports in the southern part of Morocco, called Dakhla Atlantic Port. And this Dakhla Atlantic Port is situated in the southern part of Morocco. And the US already has a special agreement so that this can be a very entry point for US companies and also globally for northern companies. So this Dakhla Atlantic Port is trying to build also what we call the West Africa Free Zone, industrial park, near this port. And this port is also a gateway to West Africa. So strategically, I think that we can see how we organize the global chamber investment and business companies to see how we can have a hub in that area of Morocco, where we can develop key business between US, Canada, and Mexico to Morocco, but also to West Africa in general. Because this biggest port will link all the West African ports, and we can do import, export, and also to develop fisheries, to develop organic agriculture, export of for seafood inside the region. So I think that a lot of opportunities are going, and I think that this is an opportunity to be in Africa. And I am here with the Global Chamber to support in our region, but also everywhere you want to go in Africa. And to say that the African Union headquarters is in Ethiopia. Ethiopia is a country with more than 100 million people, and Ethiopia has been built one of the biggest hydroelectricity dam in Africa that we call the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, that has been opened a few weeks ago. And it's a place also to develop business like in coffee and textile, and there are many industrial parks available also there. We can do business together with the continent. So this is some key point I want to highlight, but to say that also many women entrepreneurs are now in the vibrant entrepreneurial ecosystem in the continent, and also young people, innovation, and the digital sector is now being one of the fastest growing sector in the continent, so that we can also have many opportunities in data, digital, and also many opportunities in terms of education and the health sectors, where I think US can also export a lot of medicine inside the continent. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share this insight with you. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. There'll be time for Q&A. I want to make sure that we get to hopefully all of you, but we definitely want to get to Jason and hear from you, and also want to make sure that Fernando, we hear from you, and then open up the floor to everyone. Mark, before we kind of finish that phase of this meeting, Mike Patterson, I'm wondering, in addition to what's already been talked about, you're Mr. Global in Phoenix. You're an attorney with Spencer Fane, but you're more than that. You're a center of global activity within Phoenix for many years. Is there anything else that you wanted to add on the USMCA conversation, or anything that you'd like to add to Africa, or anything else that you'd like to add, period?
Oh, I love this group. And by the way, I wanted to add for Fernando, you're in Austin, and someone else on this call, I think at the beginning you were chatting, Doug, is in Austin. We have an Austin office now with, well, we've had one for several years, but small, we're up to 30 now in our Austin office. We'd love to meet you there as well, but I can handle things from here across the country. We're 650 attorneys in 32 cities. But one thing to know about Austin, we all here have a really great friend there, Glenn Hammer, who has the Texas Association of Business. I don't know if you've heard of them, Fernando, down in Austin. He's right across from the Capitol. I mean, the Capitol's there. He's in the building across the street, and he sings karaoke on the roof. He tells me from time to time. Seriously, Glenn Hammer is just a powerhouse for the Texas Association of Business. Might be, just somebody to get to know. But Glenn Hammer, if you want that contact,
He actually, we can help too, whether it's through Mike. Glenn Hammer and I went to the same elementary school in Yorktown Heights, New York. And so he's been really helpful whenever we have some sort of an issue that needs to cut through stuff at the state level in Texas. Glenn is there. And we started this conversation about the Papers, Please bill that was passed by the legislature. I think it was passed, right? It was passed by the Arizona legislature, basically to allow police to be able to ask people for their papers, right? The immigration issue, that first one. Glenn, I think, was really leading the effort to pull together the business community, all of us, to sign a paper to Governor Brewer at the time to veto that bill. And that was actually amazing, and it was an amazing experience to see beat what was just a bad idea. So
Fernando, he's a Globie, and he loves Canadians, and he loves Mexicans, and he understands the three country thing. We're just so sorry they stole him away from us here.
He was the head of the Arizona chamber. He was the Arizona chamber, and then he went to the Texas chamber.
And he still has a house here in Arizona. His wife and kids are finishing school here, and he comes and goes.
Yeah, if you could drop his contact info here, or maybe we can connect on LinkedIn or something. That'd be great.
Okay, Glenn, I'll let you do what you think is the appropriate contact for Glenn to put in there.
Cool. Let's get to Mark. I wonder if you could. Jason is a member of Global Chamber, but Mark, if you would like to make an introduction, because you and Jason have spent some time together, and Jason's got something that we're going to have a Globinar on, and we'd like to at least preview that. Could you say a few words, please?
Absolutely.
Mark Cohen's on our advisory board, like Mike is, for Global Chamber Phoenix, and he's like one of those extraordinary people that He's handsome and he's a great guy and all that, but behind all of that, he knows everybody. He's like an extraordinary fellow, and Jason is too. But I'll let Mark say a little bit more about
I don't compare. I'm just letting you guys finish your thing. Thank you, guys. You're awesome. Everyone is awesome. First, I want to congratulate the most important thing. Doug and Eduardo and Mike, what you're doing, you're getting people to the table. That's the most important thing. You're opening up dialogue. That's what we need everywhere in the world, and just praying and making sure that things are going to work out. People ask me all the time, who do I know or who do they know that I could help somebody else? So when I come across, communication with people globally, I always see somebody that has a solution. And Doug, mentioned about Jason to go to an event, and Jason had this wonderful event that talked about this 831A or 831B, I should say, and it had to deal with businesses. And Jason's going to discuss it, but the connection of what the value is for businesses and how there's something there on the risk management side of businesses is really compelling. And I said, you got to bring him, Jason, you got to get involved with the Global Chamber, because people need to know about it that have businesses or connected with businesses or business owners. That's all I'm going to share with you on that part. And I said, you got to get on the call, get a hold of Doug, get a meeting. And these types of things with synergy helps everybody within the organization and the Global Chamber. So my message is I'm just taking the flag right now and taking the baton or the flagpole over to Jason. And I'm introducing Jason. He's already a member of the Global Chamber, but I also want him to share with you the wealth of information that everyone knows somebody that can get directly to a company person that runs a company that needs something that Jason has that probably nobody knows about, or they do. They need to be educated on why they need to know. And I'm just passing it on to you right now, Jason. So with that, you have the floor right now with everybody.
Doug and Mark, thank you. I appreciate being here. Welcome everybody to my little, I guess, less than 5 minute soapbox speech. So I'm going to go give a little bit of background because it's hard to understand without giving a little bit of a backdrop. But most people understand what a 401k is. A 401k was, I think, enacted into our tax code by Congress in either 1976 or 78. And it was approximately 8 years after that tax code, the 401k, 401 parentheses K, came out, that some guy thought about it and said, we can turn this into an employee benefit. And that truly is where the 401k came from, not from Congress making it a tax code, but 8 years after someone just thinking creatively how to apply it to business. And then it took roughly another 12 years to scale to about year 2000. And then now everyone knows in the world what a 401k is. Well, I believe it was either around 86, a similar thing came out called an 831B, as in boy. It's simply a tax code. It's not a product, it's not a sale, it's a tax code. And the 831B is very similar to a 401k. A 401k, as most people know, is a way for an employee to set aside tax-deferred dollars for their retirement. An 831B is very similar, but it's for a business, not for an employee. And the current allowable deduction is up to $2.85 million annually per year. When you Google it, it's going to confuse the heck out of you. But when you break it down into layman's terms, and I would put myself at the top 0.1% of people, in knowledge base or subject matter expert, it is a way for a business, or what it was meant for is a way for a business to set aside tax-deferred dollars to self-insure against acts of God or fortuitous risk, things that happen that when they happen, you have to pay for out of your operating budget. So that's what Congress set it aside for. So people could basically conservatively build a war chest of money, tax deferred, to protect themselves against unforeseen things. And these unforeseen things are things that insurance policies do not cover. So that's the entire premise of it. And then going into it, what it allows a company to do is insure, self-insure, and that's why it's called reinsurance, but it's not that complicated, against things that you cannot insure through normal policies. And when you start looking at things like COVID, the Palisades fire, supply chain interruption, tariffs, government shutdown, these things cost businesses money that they pay for out of their operating budget. So you're already self-insuring, you just don't use those words. This allows you to build a war chest of money, a little or a lot, tax deferred. And that money goes from your account here to your account here. That's as simple as that, just a tax designation. What it's really doing, though, is setting those dollars for a policy year, even though you're not spending money, let's just look at it as buckets of money. I'm going to self-insure against tariffs, put X amount of dollars. There's an issue, you can file a claim against your own money that's tax deferred and utilize those funds, which is, again, the power of it is using tax deferred dollars to cover those type of losses or expenses. But then what's really creative is it can also turn things that people already do into massive revenue streams. And I'll talk about a couple of clients that have done massively phenomenal things they were already doing. So let's just take a multifamily operator. He owns multifamily apartments, 10,000 units, big, of course. But every tenant has to have content insurance, $15 a month, provided through State Farm, Progressive, whomever. We rewrote the lease. So now he collects that $15 a month from his tenants. $15 times 10,000 is $150,000 a month, times 12 is at $1.8 million a year that goes tax deferred into his 831B account. And the claims on content is about 0.000001%. So that he just added $1.8 million to his bottom line tax deferred, which means it keeps growing after that tax deferred. We can get into tax structure and all that stuff, but bottom line, things like warranties, deferred maintenance, anything that could have a value, you can sell this and put it into your 831B. So for example, if you're selling a warranty for products, if you're a manufacturer, believe it or not, CPAs, I've never met a CPA yet that's heard of this. CPAs that audit 401k plans for companies basically tell the client, if there's an audit by the IRS, we'll take care of it. Well, I said, well, could you charge a dollar value for that? They're like, why would we? We just offer that as part of the benefit. I go, well, I think people may spend $1,000 to get that audit insurance against the IRS versus just getting it for free. And so he had 250 clients. He charged $1,000. Every single one gladly paid that. That $250,000, $1,000 per company, went tax deferred into his 831B plan. The ways it can be applied is infinite. So it's very, very company specific. And the reason an 831B is not well known is because it is recommended by CPAs and money managers. I don't know if there's an insurance person in the country that works with them. And so therefore the use of them isn't well known by CPAs or money people. Insurance people understand very well what can be insured, what can't be insured, et cetera. And now let's take it to what may apply to manufacturers beyond a warranty. An 831B can self-insure against a deductible claim. You have obviously your liability insurance, your auto, your comp, your whatever. Let's say your deductible is $50,000. Now you can go ahead and what I do with my clients, I triple their deductible from 50 to 150. And there's reasons that takes a little longer to explain. But if there is a claim, you file the claim against your own monies, and that claim is a 2-to-1 payout. So go instead of spending $50,000, raise it to 150 as a deductible, but the client's exposure is only $75,000 in unrealized exposure. But what that does inversely is it drives premiums down 10 to 15%. So this is the most versatile tool that doesn't cost money, that is basically playing with levers and buckets of money and just rearranging what you're already doing, that can either build a war chest of money or it can become a revenue stream. And ultimately, it's your money. So if you want to take it out in dividends or liquidate the account, the magic of this particular tax code is it's taxed when it comes out of the 831B as long-term capital gains instead of ordinary income. And so in Arizona, for an LLC, it adds about 16% to the bottom line. For a C Corp, adds about 26% to the bottom line. A California C Corp adds about 36% to the bottom line. And unbelievably, nobody knows about this. There's roughly 30 to 35 million businesses in the US. There's less than 10,000 831B plans that are currently being used. So again, it's an educational thing. And that's what I want to do, is just bring this education to people, whether it applies to them now, later. I've talked to, countless people, and it's fascinating. So again, whether it applies now, later, you share it. This is one of those things people need to share with people, because this is how a conservative business owner can build a war chest of money to protect against risks that they don't see coming, that traditional insurance cannot insure against. And it can also become a profit stream for certain aspects. And it's very, very business specific. It is not one size fit all. That's it.
Cool. Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions? And I'm sure Jason's going to be putting his information in the chat, and he's also going to be presenting at a Globinar soon. Anybody have any questions or thoughts?
Yeah, I just wanted to know why so few CPAs and companies know about this.
If I had that answer, they'd probably all know about it. I believe that it is confusing the way the tax code is written. So unless you become a subject matter expert, and then more importantly, have the finite knowledge to understand where it applies, it doesn't make sense to anybody. So if you go Google this, read the tax code, you're going to come away like, what the hell did Jason say? Because that's not what it says here. But in reality, it's very simple once you break it down into layman's terms. But CPAs don't know insurance. They're brilliant at taxes, and they're brilliant at all these things, but they don't understand, how to take a content policy and instead of sending it to the insurance company, just rewrite it yourself. But this is how insurance companies work. An insurance company might have 10 of these or 100 of these. This is how Fortune 500 companies save massive amounts in taxes. This is how they make money. And I hate to say this, but this is the very truth. This is how rich people get richer. It's a tax code. That's as simple as it is. But used properly and prudently, You can build a war chest, which is value. You can protect against risk that can put you out of business or take money from your operating budget you didn't plan for, or in the right circumstances, it can become a revenue stream.
Jason, you also do periodic, very special events. And
Yes.
so is there anything you would want to say regarding that, just to make people aware of that?
Yeah, I've always enjoyed events, whether it's more an entertainment value, like the AI with Brian David Johnson. We had over 100 business owners there, or a roundtable or happy hour on the 831B topic, where I want to bring an educational topic to the general public / business owners, which we had 100 business owners there. So over the course of 2 days, September 24th and 25th, which you're there, on those 3 events over 2 days, we had over 200 business owners come up. And whether they choose to work with me or not, I think it's absolutely critical to share knowledge that can be very important to people. For the proper person, a $2.8 million deduction is massive. One of my clients, home builder, Northern Arizona, $6 million in taxable income. They fully funded an 831B, $2.8 million, reduced their taxable income from 6 million to 3.2, saved them from paying roughly $1.2 million in taxes. So that $1.2 million that would have went to the government or the IRS is in their 831B plan that they can now invest, they can borrow against, they can do deals, they can buy buildings. So you're utilizing money that's available instead of paying it in taxes, as long as you stay within compliance. And again, this is one of those things that you have to work with true experts. Otherwise, if you're not in compliance and you work with somebody that's trying to quote unquote just sell this to make a buck, you could get in big trouble. But if you work within compliance, within the rules of the IRS, it is, to me, the most advantageous business strategy, even though it's a tax code, I've ever even remotely come across.
Yeah. One of the things I want to add also is, out of due respect to Jason, I saw his back end of the operation that came out to this event, right from Omaha, and it was very, very impressive. So the background of the company that Jason is part of is really the birth of this, and they're the real experts in the world that is doing this. So Jason is affiliated directly with the source that actually wrote the book on this and has mastered it. One of the things that I was extremely impressed with was, I think it was, and I'm let Jason confirm this, but it was, I think, up to 10 years. They've never had a problem with the IRS or an audit of over 1,200 different companies that they represent currently. So that's some of the takeaway that I took out of this. And it really shocked my world when I saw this, with being in business for 40 years, of not being able to have this opportunity for myself over the course of the years of the different businesses that I had, that I could have done this. But God, every person I'm coming in contact with, they need to know about this. So that's an overview of what
There's 2 current lawsuits right now that are pretty visible if you do some Googling. And it's not the IRS suing the clients. It's SRA, the administrator, suing the IRS, saying these are rules that need to be clarified. We want better rulings. This is not acceptable. So the fight isn't going to the people. The fight's going to the IRS. And again, this is the most powerful business tool, big business, small business. It's about running a conservative business and planning for things that you don't know what's around the corner. And this is a way to do it with tax-deferred dollars.
Thank you very much. I'll watch that webinar and definitely connect up with Jason and follow him on LinkedIn.
Thank you.
Marcos, I don't know if you can say anything, but we've started to do some significant planning. Maybe significant's not the right word, but we've started to plan for the semiconductor event, 5th annual semiconductor forum done by Global Chamber, February 19th. I've actually had multiple conversations with different countries and different entities and potential sponsors this week. You've done an amazing job with Eduardo with the pre-Semicon West event. And I think the 5th annual Semiconductor Summit's going to be extra special because we're going to have Eduardo, we're going to have Marcos planning it, and Bon Faris has taken on the event planning for the Global Chamber Phoenix chapter. And she has some ideas to make it engaging and connecting, not just that event, but all of our events. And Bon sent her apologies. She's quite sick. as many of us have been. And so she was not feeling strong enough to be able to speak today. But Marcos, is there anything that you've got in mind and anything you want to say about either the Semiconductor Summit coming up February 19th or anything else? Thank you for your support.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. And happy Friday, everybody, and happy holidays, upcoming holidays. The only thing I wanted to add is, and we've been talking offline about that, is having probably somebody from Taiwan that can give us, you know, an overall perspective on what's going on with regards to the industry there, and what kind of maybe invite or bring some other people to from Taiwan to come over. I think the other typical presenters that you have, you know, giving updates from India and all the other countries, they will just fall in place just because that's a good opportunity for them to get in front and give an update. And also we're trying to line up, there are some interesting projects brewing in Mexico, and we're trying to line up some of the players behind them and provide basically a global update to what's happening. And we believe, again, February would be the great place to do that. And then the other event that I've been trying to put in our radar screens is related to Semicon West, but in San Francisco.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's still time away, but the main challenge that I keep bringing up is it is not in Phoenix, so a lot of the benefits and low cost and whatever you want advantages that we had having it here, we may not have that in San Francisco. So we need to I think, you know, since this is a global chamber branded, you need to kind of provide the vision that, yeah, it makes sense to do it or not. And then who do we go and partner? We know that Arizona is gonna continue having a strong presence there. So that could be almost like a natural ally to partner with them. And then some of the other countries.
We're going to do it. So Global Chamber San Francisco, you know, it's on. We'll do it for sure. And it's almost in some ways easier for us to do an event there. So no worries. We got it. Thank you for the idea. It's brilliant.
Okay, perfect. So, you know, there may be a few extra things related to cost, like we didn't have it here at Thunderbird. So, you know,
yep.
There are details that need to be worked out. But
we have Stanford, so that's not bad either.
It's good to nurse Arizona.
I'm sorry, I might be on my end. Can you guys hear me?
Now we can. Go ahead again.
I'm sorry. We only have 3 minutes, so 30-second rapid fire rounds. What else does anybody have? I see a few other folks who haven't spoken, including Frank. It was great to see you at that event last month. That was awesome. And anybody else have anything that they'd like to either that's hot or that we need to hear about, or any help that you need?
Hey, Doug, I just wanted to share a little bit about what I'm doing. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, Mel, how you doing? Can you do it in a minute? And then we'll
30 seconds or less.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I heard a lot on this call about the agriculture. As you know, I've been working on this ag program for a few years now with Tuskegee University, and we have a very dynamic and sustainable ag program. And I just wanted to put that out there, and there's some people on the Zoom that we've been chatting with during this session. So I will do a follow-up. It's called farmersclick.com. We can connect offline and I provide further details.
Founders.
Farmersclick.com.
Foundersclick.com. Well,
Farmers Click.
Mel is a member of Global Chamber in Atlanta, and ag is is an important segment for us, so that'd be good. I see Terry talking about Beaujolais Day, which was yesterday. We started this meeting by that, so have a glass of Beaujolais this weekend for sure and relax. Anybody else have anything? This has been an extraordinary meeting, very great information, very surprising, all men. Unbelievable. That's a little bit of a surprise. And so I'm going to note that and make sure that Bon Forrest, particularly, and some of the other women members. Oh, actually, Alma was here earlier, right? So maybe we scared them away.
It was Mark and I good looks.
That's what it was, I'm sure. So we did have women, at least one woman. The next event for Global Chamber Phoenix is December 4th. And that is at the pub upstairs at Thunderbird. It's 5 o'clock on the 4th. So Thursday the 4th at 5. And it's actually an event that we're doing with that same group that we partnered with, the Tech Advocates Arizona, or Tech Arizona Advocates, out of London. They have 40 chapters around the world, and Phoenix is one of them. And we're partnering with them on the 4th. Yes, I see the old-fashioned hand. Was that a goodbye, or was that hey, I need to say something?
A goodbye.
A goodbye. Okay, sayonara. And I think, and then for the advisory board for Phoenix, we actually have a global advisory board meeting on December 1st, and that is a Monday at 3 p.m. Arizona time. So just so the advisory board, that's we've got Mike and we've got Eduardo and we've got Mark on the advisory board for Phoenix. That week we'll have a couple different things. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your support. It is 12 noon in Pacific time. It's 1 p.m. in Arizona. Mike, you still got a full afternoon of activity. What have you got planned?
Actually, I'm going to a Shabbat tonight, and we're singing in a dual choir between the Jewish synagogue and a Presbyterian choir, a 60-voice choir for actually Christmas music, partially holiday music, but with some in Hebrew and some just good old-fashioned holiday music.
Amazing. Eduardo, any final comments? Shabbat Shalom.
No final comments. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to the next event. Seeing everyone on December 4th at Thunderbird. Yeah.
See everybody on the ground. Don't forget that Beaujolais this weekend.
Yeah.
Terry.
Shabbat Shalom. Peace.
Shabbat Shalom.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Merci beaucoup, Kassoum.
Merci.
Nice to meet everybody. Merci.
Good. Thank you. Merci. Bye-bye.
Hasta luego.
Merci.
Kassoum will connect you up in the UAE too. I've got that on my to-do this weekend.
Sorry?
I think I'm connecting you into the UAE and I'll
Okay.
do that this weekend.
Okay. Very good. Perfect. Okay. Bye-bye.